I'm so pleased to have at this table Ellen Griesedick from the American Mural Project. I was reading about this and fascinated. The largest indoor collaborative artwork in the world in Winsted, Connecticut. How did this come to be?
All right, now to start, it will be. And the reason I say that is because we still have to raise the roof on this building.
And that's what we're going to do with the help of this show. So keep going.
So it came about because 15 years ago, our kids are growing up. Our son John is in middle school. Judy's 4 years younger. And he's doing his homework. And I'm coming home from the West Side Highway where I've been up on 200 feet in the air with Bob. And he's welding steel. And the guy's an artist. And I look over at John when I come home and I say, you cannot believe how great. This guy is a total artist. And John is totally clueless. He's looking at me like, look, I got this paper on Lincoln. And I'm like, our kids
Listen, we're talking art.
Our kids do not know what's going on in this country. They've got the gift of this great education, and they're just completely clueless. And it's not their fault. You know, it's a world that's ruled by cell phones and computers and everything, and nobody looks anymore. Nobody looks at the roofer, the surgeon, all these people. Why does everyone want to live in this country?
So
we have something.
Get this idea to do what? How does this come together?
Well, I'd already been doing these paintings, i.e. I was on the West Side Highway to do a painting of the steelworkers there. And so all my friends, I'm sort of the George Plimpton of work.
Okay.
And so I get to go on these work sites and I get to be Bob for a day, you know, walk up on those beams and learn what they're doing. Or I get to be with Dr. Mehmet Oz in the operating room. Now, when I see these things and I'm seeing the skills and the mastery, I'm going, how do you express that in art? And what do you do with something like that that really can communicate the thrill of it, really? And when I was out at Boeing and I was doing a painting of the fabrication of the 747, which
is fascinating. That's kind of how this all hatched,
Yep.
right? So you're in this mammoth area. And your background in art is what? We should establish that really quickly.
Well, I went to the University of Colorado, and I was sort of the jock of all the art majors that were in the fine arts programs, and I was always doing these giant things, of course.
You're so tiny, though.
Compensation for it.
Oh,
you
okay.
are too, see?
Well, you're tiny.
We need to do big things. See, you're doing it here in Connecticut. And I just thought, you know, one of those, you know, always like this at parades, and so I can't say. So I thought, I'm going to make something so big that nobody can miss this. You know, if we have to make this kind of statement about who we are right now, let's make it so big. So I took everything, all of the different places I'd been, you know, working projects, and I thought, why don't I put them all into one big thing? Then I can get my Boeing engine 30 feet up in the air, which is somewhat the experience I had seeing that go across the room. And my husband said, you are absolutely crazy. Your paintings are already too big.
And you said, so what?
He's lived with me. He knows it. So, you know, what we did was we started with a study. Everything's innocent. Anybody with a passion, I think, starts with an idea that's really strong for them, but you don't start with a whole thing right off the bat. I didn't start with saying, I'm going to involve kids in all 50 states. We're going to do projects that are going to go into this thing. I'm going to get all the great exemplary people across the country who work with kids and who are on the edge of frontiers. I'm going to get them all to be part of this. But by invitation, that's what's sort of happening here. That Paul Hawk and I start exchanging emails. He's out in California working on the environment, and then I say, would you be an advisor to our project? So he becomes an advisor, and with him comes all that he stands for. So now he's part of AMP. So Andre Agassi, I go work with his academy in Las Vegas, and now Andre's part of it.
Let's start taking a look at some of these pictures so that we can show folks the magnitude of what's happening in a building inside Winsted.
Yes.
And outside in different states in the country. So, Ellen, what's going on here? And here you, the tiny thing that you are, you're up high.
Yes. I love heights.
This is inside a building.
I'm not afraid of heights. That is one thing I'm not.
Thing.
Yeah. Oh, it's just, to me, it's something very liberating.
So what is this?
This is I'm working in my studio here in Sharon. And a lot of the pieces that are going to be in the mural are my work. And that's how it started. And I'm an artist, and that's what I do. And so this piece right here is a dedication to teachers. Because through the process of getting kids involved and getting great teachers, I thought, who's the most underpaid and overworked person in this country? And they're teachers.
And what's the medium that you're working in?
Can be anything. In this particular case, well, I'm working with acrylic. But one of the things that's wonderful about the project, this is a mural in 3 dimensions. So not only is it 5 stories high and 120 feet long, but it's made out of all different materials. Fiberglass. We have 47 feet of blown glass from West Virginia. So every single project is different. If we go to West Virginia and they're known for blown glass, we get 5th graders in there, they blow glass, it comes back to me, and I work that into the composition.
Next picture.
Maybe we'll see a little bit of this. This is another shot showing the scale. I mean, it's really, really difficult to show the scale of these pieces. These are iron workers, and this is a piece that will represent, right there you're seeing a guy who's about 20 feet in height, that's so double that.
So in Sharon, you have a place big enough that you can create this before it goes to Winsted, and we'll get to that building in a second. All right, the next picture, again on the ladder.
Yeah, well, this is Manley, my fisherman, and Pete and Jeff. I've been to all these places. I know everyone who's in the mural, and obviously I'm dedicated to all of them. You go out on Manley's on the Pursuit in January, and there's ice on the rigging, and you never eat a piece of fish again without great admiration for what these guys are doing, you know. So you have to, this is Manley again, you have to have some, you know, attachment to the actual reality, or you create a cliche. So you got to know Manley, and Manley will be at the opening. These guys will all be there.
Oh, okay. Now this is something that children have created.
All right. Now this is a great project. This is in Connecticut schools. We're working with kids to make tiles that, in this particular case, this little girl did a veterinarian, I guess her mother or father. And the idea is, who do you know in work that you admire? We work with the schools. They create out of raw clay, so they get to work in clay. And then they come to the mill to glaze the tiles. And there's another picture which may come up with them glazing. This is actually in Washington, D.C. Of course, we're all over the place. So the project in Washington involved a dedication to people in .gov jobs. So these kids, you know, here's another one of the tiles.
It's tile and clay, right?
This is tile and clay, and it's gonna be so great because all of these tiles are going in the atrium. Now you got to imagine that the building that we're raising the roof on, and that's an important.
We're going to see that building.
We're going to see in a minute, and there we go.
So okay, so describe, this building is in Winsted, Connecticut.
It is now, but if you look at this drawing at the top, you'll see that the top of it, the sort of part with the brush stroke on it, is going to be added. Right now, the building is half as tall as it's going to be. When it's finished, it'll be as big as the Parthenon.
Wow.
Yeah, it'll absolutely.
Now there's some state money.
Not many.
State backing in this,
yes,
correct?
Yes, there's state backing. Well, you see what you've got to convince people of something that's so crazy. And so you chase Congressman Larson around for a while. Finally, he gives in. And Senator Murphy, who's just been such a great advocate for this, sooner or later, they all start lining up and saying, we got to listen to Ellen.
Who's
There's
going to tell
something
you
so
no?
great. So finally, after chasing Malloy around for 2 years, he's so wonderful, and he is really behind this. And I think he's starting to see, and Kathy, his wife, she's into the arts, you know, and we want to work with the Hartford Art League and do a lot of things with them. But basically, we're starting to get the idea across that this could be a great piece. I mean, talk about economic impact for the northwest corner of Connecticut.
So
jobs.
Yeah, jobs. There'll be classes, tours.
Yep. We have 2 buildings. One is going to house the mural, the Parthenon, and then the adjacent building, and these will be joined by a glass arcade with all those tiles you just said. We're going to cover the state schools so all these kids get a chance to do tiles. And then in that other building, that is the visitor center. I don't want any kid who visits this project not to go over there and make her do something. Because what you're going to have happening is you're going to see this thing, and this is going to blow your mind. And then the architects have designed on the 2nd level a way you can go back and behind the mural so you can penetrate the art. You can see up close all these things. We have an athletes field that has all the signatures of great living American athletes in this country.
Tell me how the other states get involved. Are some of their pieces going into this mural, or this? Okay.
All of them.
All of them.
I'm going to all 50 states. I'm working with kids in every state, and each one will come back and be in Winsted, Connecticut. There are no other murals, there are no other things, they're all in Winsted. But we go to every state to do these projects. So this, you know what, He's a great guy, Dan Haar, at the Hartford Current, came through the mill on his walk on 44, and he said, you know what this is? He says, this is the Mount Rushmore for the rest of us. And I said, I'm going to use that. That is absolutely what it is. It's so hard to describe what this is. That's it.
When it's done, the mural, and is there a blueprint for this, or it's just kind of being mashed together because you don't know what kids are going to create across the country?
Well, we do. You have to have, if you're going to create, and this is very important, a great work of art, and it will be a great work of art. I can guarantee you this is the art side of me. You have to have a composition that works. You have to have colors that are coordinated and work. That's a very important. This is not just let's throw it all together and everything. Mm-hmm. These are very intricate pieces that are put in. But the kids know they're a yellow element, or they know exactly how far they go. So they work within that limitation. But within that limitation, they create their own piece, and they take total ownership of their thing. So they're having a creative moment that's very strong for them. And even if they never get to the mural project, those kids in Washington never get there, they know they have contributed to this. And we've worked with over 10,000 kids so far.
How big will this be now? You talked about how many stories tall?
5 stories.
5 stories tall by how wide?
120 feet long. It's really, even our son, who writes all our grants, you know, we got to the Hartford Library and we were hoisting the jet engine up just a little bit. It was like 20 feet in the air in that big glass. It's midnight and we're all looking at it. And John looked up and he went, oh my God, I get it. It's so impossible to understand what this is going to be like.
Well, that's why we're having you on so that we can try to. So how can people help you get this amazing work of art finished?
You're the best. Here's how they can help. There are a lot of ways. But one of them is word of mouth. And I'm going to start with that, even though that doesn't say how do you get anywhere. Because every time someone learns about it, somebody else gets in touch with us and says, how can we help? And there are a million ways to help. Obviously, Governor Malloy last year gave us a $1 million challenge grant. We have to raise 1.4 to get his million. Now, we're doing really well. And we're starting to get corporations in Connecticut to come on. Newman's own foundation, Paul Newman was behind this. I did his salad dressing label, so we go back to that.
Where are you not creating?
I can't. It's like you doing what you're doing. You go to sleep and you wake up with the same things continuing right along. But in fact, what did our great development director, Mimi Madden, said, you know, somebody came up and said, I've got an idea. And she goes, go away, we've got too many ideas, which is the truth. This is an amazing project, and the ideas keep coming.
So you need monies, you need some kind of coordination in the schools. And this is supposed to be done 2016, yes?
Yeah, well, we're looking good. We have, you know, we've got a goal to make this 1.4, but we're, at the moment, if you look at the whole picture, the 2.4, if you were to say that we had the $1 million that is pledged to us if we meet the goal, we are now 2/3 of the way there. So we can do this. There is no question we can do this. And I think we've got confidence now from a lot of people that before were holding back and going, well, let's see how she does. Let's see how they do. You know, it's starting to be, it's going to happen. You know, which is
when this mural is completed and somebody looks at it, this mammoth piece of art that's from all over the country, what is it going to say to those who look at it?
Well, first of all, one of my goals is you should not go into that building and not find yourself somewhere there. It's about you. It's about all of us. And if we can all look at that and go, wow, this is us. This is a very strong, powerful statement about who we are, who we've been historically, and where we're going. And I think the where we're going is a very important part of this, because if we look at what's happening day to day and some of the things in this country that are very discouraging and depressing, there's also tons of things that are very encouraging. And one of them for me, having spent 15 years on this, is working with all these kids. And I'll tell you, they are not entitled. They want to get out there and do something. This generation that's growing up right now is full of ideas for new frontiers. And what we've got to do is we've got to channel that. And we've got to all stand back, young and old, and look at this mural and go, that's right. This is why people want to live in this country. And this is who we can be and get charged up and go out and do something about it.
And I can't think of a better person to charge folks to get this done. Ellen Griesedick, thank you so much for coming on the American Mural Project.org. Get to know about it, or she'll show up at your front door. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Ann.
Made a trivial pursuit, spend one this in. Who's this girl? Spend all night kissing, and if was right here, then who else is missing? Got a little sidetracked to find myself wishing to find the keys to the door, but it's also a metaphor. Need to keep locked in the grocery store of my mind, just to save time. Skip right ahead to the last ride. The harder we look, the less we can see. Don't you know, you know, you know.